Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's webinar session, How to Manage Quality Control Digitally with QDMS and Acumatica ERP. My name is Kevin Deveci, and I am the Managing Director of the company. Today, I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Cavardero from Emerald Consulting. I have Sam Watt from Team Bimser International. He is our pre-sales software engineer from our engineering team. And together, we'll be performing this webinar for you. First of all, we'd like to start with a demonstration and show and tell. We'll be talking about calibration management, control document management, also quality control management in QDMS extension. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Sam Watt to our virtual stage, and Sam will be showing you QDMS extension for quality control as well as main QDMS part of the demonstration as to document management and audit management. And then we'll hand it over to Alex to talk about fundamentals of quality control and audit management. Sam, are you ready?
Okay, yes, I am ready.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let me make my screen full screen. Okay, and can you see my screen? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. And thank you for joining today's webinar. This is Sam of Bimser International. So today I will show you the audit module and also control document management module in QDMS, and also our extension of QDMS. So after logging to Acumatica, we can connect to QDMS since we integrate with Acumatica and we have the fundamental integration. It includes like the employee information, vendor information, stock item, and customer information as well. And this is the home screen of QDMS. On this home screen, you can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval right after you log in. So the system helps you to make sure you will not miss any important tasks right after you log into the system. And in terms of the notification, you will receive all the notification in your email inbox as well. QDMS is a permission-based system, which means you will see what you're supposed to do in the system. And since now I'm logging in as the admin, so that I have the full control of the system. For example, to the main menu, I can see all the available modules by logging in as the admin. And to the regular user, they will see what they are supposed to do based on their role, position, profession, department, or group. So today, we will get into the audit module first. In this module, you can manage your audit planning digitally by using our software. And to audit planning in QDMS is like the goal that you want to achieve. For example, you want to have an internal audit planning so that you have to audit all the departments in your organization. Or you can also use this audit module for auditing your supplier as for external use as well. It's not limited to the supplier, but also can be your vendor or subcontractor. As I mentioned, the planning is like the goal that we want to achieve. And then we can create different audit item in our planning. So the item is like the objective that helps us to achieve our goal. As I mentioned, in order to carry out our internal audit, so that we have to create different audit items for our departments in our organization, like sales department, shipping department, packaging department. And as for creating the audit item, we can pick and choose the audit date for sure, and you can pick and choose the date in a calendar view, and also set up the audit time, like what time it's gonna start and what is the expected end time for your audit. In addition, excuse me, you can also enter the subject for your audit as well. After that, we can invite the auditors and also the auditees to this audit item. And those auditors and auditees will receive a notification regarding this audit item that you are creating. If there is any attachment that you want to attach as a reference for the auditor and auditee, for example, our company policies, then you can upload it here from your local drive and connect with this audit item. Once all the information are ready, then you can save this, and this audit item will be ready, and a notification will be sent to the auditor and auditee as well. Another important features by using audit module is we can have a question pool that record all the questions that you have for audit operations. And you can pick and choose the question as a reference for the auditor. Let's think about we have 20 employees in this sales department. And for auditing every single employee, we need 5 pages of paper for the auditor. And by using our system, it's helped you to save the time and also the cost for preparing those audit questions and detail on paper. And instead, those can be managed digitally, which means within our system. So you can find all the questions by using this audit module and also record all the answers that you get from the auditees in the system as well. And in every module of QDMS, you can see the reporting tool, which allows you to create different ready-made report. For example, the audit score report, the findings by audit report. So those can be generated, and you can set some condition on the filters before generating this report. For example, during certain day, you can set a time frame and then generate your report. You are more than welcome to export your report as Excel or PDF file in order to share with any responsible parties. Furthermore, you can have your graphical report, which will show all your data in a graphical view. For example, we want to see the department that we the number of audits that we have for the department. And as for example, starting from last year, so we can pick and choose 2019, January 1st up to today, and then draw our graph. So you will see all your data will be shown in a bar chart and also in a table. And also you can export your report, your graphical report, into Excel, PDF, or image for sharing with any responsible parties. And next, let us go to the Control Document Management module. By using this module, you can upload your documents to the system. And QDMS support different document types that you upload to the system. For example, your specifications, SOPs, procedures, policies, training materials, and so on. Also, you can carry out your revision process in the system, which means updating the version of your document, and manage the folder structure of your in this module. So you can have your folder structure, for example, by locations, department, or document types. So once your document is uploaded to the system, you don't need any other software or application to read the document that you upload to the system. And instead, you can see all the documents that you upload and start reading it in the built-in browser of QDMS. So you can simply open your document, and the content of your document will be shown in the built-in browser. And QDMS supports different file formats that you upload to the system. For example, WordPad, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, or even image, video, audio, and CAD file. And you can also see the document information of your files, like the code department, the owner, the approval date, revision date, and also the version number. And with the permission, you can get back to the previous version of your document and show this in the built-in browser. As I mentioned, the permission. Every time you can see the permission that is granted to the users or users group in terms of reading, printing, revising, getting back to the previous version, or deleting your document. You can manage the permissions while you're uploading a new document or revising an existing document in QDMS. And next, this is the distribution list. So in this list, you can see the users or the user groups which have the obligation to read the document once it is uploaded or revised, which means updated. So they will receive a notification in QDMS and also in their email inboxes in terms of this newly uploading or updating. And here you can see this is the approval list and show you who is or are the approvers for this document. So while we are uploading our document or revising this document, the request will be sent to these approvers in order to grant their consent of uploading or revising this document. And at last, you can see the history page, which is the audit trail. The system will record all your action or activities with your username, date, time, and also the action type. For example, you will see in this page is when we have this document to be approved and when this document is revised. So this is how we can read our document and keep tracking all the settings like the permission, distribution, approval, and also all the action that we carry out against this document. As I mentioned, you can always use the reporting tool to create the ready-made report. For example, the document status report. So that we can set up our filter before generating our report, like having the status. I want to see all the documents it is under revision and also which is published. And after that, we can make our searching and all the record will be shown in a list. In addition, you can use the search bars provided on the top. As now, I want to see all the record it is in revision so that I can type in the keyword and all the record with this keyword in this certain column will be shown in a list and your list is updated accordingly. And you can export this report as to Excel or PDF for sharing with any responsible parties as well. So this is the control document management module and also audit management module in QDMS. And what next is, I want to show you the extension of QDMS, which helped you to have your quality control, which helped you to manage your quality control operation. So now we're coming back to Acumatica, and we can open the extension. And it is now loading up to your screen. Approval requests on our home screen. So it's make sure you will not miss any important requests in order to keep our operation running. And on your left, this is the main menu of this extension, and we can find all the available business process that we digitize in this extension. And one of the applications that I want to show you today is the quality control. So we have our quality control process here, and we can start a new quality inspection process. After that, we can open our form, and you'll be able to pick and choose, for example, the PO that we integrate with Acumatica. So you will see a list of the PO in this page, and you can pick and choose the PO accordingly. And after you're picking the PO, then all the rest of the information will be filled automatically. For example, the vendor information, the location, the owner, the promise on date. So those will be shown automatically, which is connected with this PO. In addition, all the items that in this PO will be shown in the table with the ID, the branch, warehouse, and the quantity. You can also set up an expiration date so that the system will remind you before this item is expired, or the QC process is going to be expired, so that you can pick and choose, like you want to have your reminder 1 week before or 2 and so on before its expired date that we defined here. And after that, we can send this out, and this quality control form will be put into the workflow that we set up here. And here's a side note is, by using this QDMS extension, you can design your own form, which means the form that you see previously is not fixed. It's not a constant form. We can always update or design it based upon the actual form that you're using in your company. And also, we can design the form or update the workflow based upon the actual operation of your company. But now, as you can see right here, we will put this, we'll send this form, and it will be sent to the purchase manager. So this is one of the example, and we are going to send this out. And you will see the flow history remind you who you are waiting, like Jeanette, and her position, like the purchase manager, and also the status of your request, and date and time that you send out your request. So which is today at 1:50, and now the status is still waiting for Jeanette approval. So that Jeanette can find the approval on her home screen. And since now I'm logging as the admin, so that I can switch between different user accounts, which is not available for the regular user. And on Jeanette's home screen, I can find the request for this quality control. And I can review this request, and you will see the exact same data that I entered previously. And after that, we can review it and keep going into the workflow. So now, in order to have a better visibility, so let me zoom in the workflow. So now we are at this point with the purchase manager, and after that we can go to the next step and send this to the lab for QC for quality control. And to the lab, they have to enter the result and then send this back to the manager for approval. So I will show you one of the records that show all how it looks like as for the lab inspection. And basically, this is how we can manage the whole workflow. And we can, all your record or all the business process that you carry out in this expansion will be saved in an archive. So for example, we can come back to this QC archive and open one of the samples that we have in this archive. And always you can retrieve all the history and also the data in this extension, and we can find out the lab result if it is pass or fail. And in terms of the inspection result, we can have a form which allowed the technician to enter the result of their inspection. We can also set up the range in the system and ask the system to check if the result is within the range that we defined here as well. If they are not, then they will be highlighted as in red color, and we will mark this inspection as failed. Again, the rule that you want to have in this expression is absolutely based upon your actual operation, and we can design the rule or set up the rule for you. And if the result is failed, then we can also connect to the QDMS and create a corrective action accordingly. So you will see the system, this extension, will feed all the information to QDMS, and in this case, which is corrective action module, and create a new corrective action record automatically. So it's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, for the demonstration. Much appreciated. Let's continue our webinar. I'll take over the screen. Okay, great. Now what I like to do is I like to invite Alex Quattro to our virtual stage. Alex, are you ready?
Yes. Hello, Kevin. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Alex. Yes, yes, nicely.
Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for inviting me to make this short presentation on ISO. And I guess today's topic is quality control. So I think what I'd like to do today is make a very brief presentation on what are the requirements in ISO that deal with quality control. So before I get into this information, I'd just like to very briefly introduce myself and my company, Amros Consulting. I am the sole proprietor of Amros Consulting, and also I'm a certified ISO 9001-2015 lead auditor. I established Amros in 2015 after a lengthy career as a project manager in a very large aerospace company, which is certified to the AS91 quality standard. The AS91 standard is the aerospace standard. So what I do right now is to provide consulting services for businesses and organizations that would like to achieve or maintain ISO certification. And about 2 years ago, I became a Bimser solution partner. So what it is that I try to integrate the QDMS tool, which as you have heard, has tremendous capabilities in supporting the ISO requirements into the organization or businesses that are certified in ISO, and I try to help them to apply the QDMS tool in this ISO environment. And also I present a number of webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. So next slide, please. So what is really ISO? Okay, and very briefly, this slide discusses at the very top level what is a quality management system. And obviously the quality management system, or QMS, is the basis of ISO. So when you apply for ISO certification, you have to demonstrate that your QMS is functioning and obviously meets all the requirements of ISO. So as you can see in the diagram, from the left side, your customer requirements are your inputs to your processes. And of course, your processes that depend on your organization, whether you provide, you manufacture a product or provide a service, whatever is required to carry out the resulting product or output, which is then fed to the customer. So all your processes really are determined by the needs of your organization. And those are obviously established by the organization. Now, also part of the ISO requirements are you have to have policies, and policies are, you know, what you are doing. So as far as ISO is concerned, is the most important thing is to meet your customer requirements, or you have to exceed your customer expectations. You want to make your customer very happy so that you develop a good reputation, and then your customer comes back to you. And also a very important aspect of the ISO policy is to implement continuous improvement. Your organization is never perfect. There's always room for improvement, and how you improve your processes really is based on the information that you collect as during your business. You observe and monitor how well you're performing. You collect data, and based on that data, you analyze it, and then you make decisions on how or what to improve in your organization. Now, the next, we'll say, level of the QMS is your procedures, is how you're going to accomplish it. And one of the important aspects, which Sam has already addressed, is control of your documents and records. So the other thing is, which is very important in improving the quality, is to look at non-conforming products. So non-conforming products could be evaluated as part of your manufacturing, and when you detect or observe that you have some non-conformances, then you immediately take action to do the root cause analysis. What is wrong with what caused this non-conformance, and then come up with a solution. Also, you can get non-conformances from your customer. Hopefully, it won't happen that often, but in that case, you also have to perform an analysis. And then following that, you do a corrective and preventive actions to eliminate all of those non-conformances. The next procedure is performing internal audits. And again, Sam did a very good job in defining how internal audits are to be performed, and I'll cover that a little more in my next slide. But internal audits is a requirement if you're ISO certified. So internal audit has to be done at least yearly. And then the last part is responsibilities. Who is really responsible for the various aspects of running the organization? So the roles and authorities have to be defined. And then personnel, the need of the personnel and for the personnel resources and competence, the training of your people has to be established such that whatever expertise is needed to perform your product, develop your product or service, that expertise is available in the organization. Also, internal and external communication has to be established, both within the organization as well as externally with the customers, suppliers, and all the other interested parties. And then, of course, the quality policy, which is required by ISO, has to be known throughout the organization and at all levels of the staff. So next slide, please. So I would like to address two of the quality control topics. One is the control of documents. And again, Sam did a very good job in explaining how QDMS can provide all of the requirements to control and manage all of your documents. And that is definitely one of the requirements of ISO, that all of the documented information that defines your QMS processes, all of the documents and records. Records are really all the company data that is acquired, that is captured in the generation of your product or service. And the processes, QMS processes, have to be defined and monitored. So this is, again, a very strict requirement of ISO. Now let's look at the documents, and they're really kind of three categories of documents. The first is regulatory. This is basically all the regulations that apply to the nature of your business, whether they're government regulations or safety regulations. So all of those have to be controlled and managed, and it's very important that those documents or the latest version of those documents be available to the personnel. Then there's a customer documents. Those are the documents generated by the customer that define what the product or service that they're looking for is defined. And then, of course, there are internal documents to your organization. So all of that contain the policies, procedures, work instructions, and also detailed design or development documents for the product or service that you're developing. So all of those documents have to be controlled and managed. Typically it's called configuration management. And the QDMS tool provides all of the what is required to control and manage the documents as far as traceability of changes, the distribution, the storage. All of that is totally managed by QDMS. So if you actually acquire that particular module, then you will fully satisfy the ISO requirements for documentation control. So next slide, please. Now the internal audit, just want to briefly go over that. Again, as I mentioned, that's a requirement for ISO certification, that you have to perform a yearly audit of all of your internal processes. And again, that requires a lot of preparation for it to meet the intent of the ISO certification. Now, the audit may be performed by the internal staff or a third party, of an external party that performs an audit. If you're using internal personnel to perform the audit, then the person that performs the audit cannot audit his or her own work. So that is a requirement of the audit principle. However, it could be done internally. And there are a lot of steps that you have to go through in preparation and implementation of an internal audit. First of all, you have to plan the audit schedule. The audit can be done throughout the year. It doesn't have to be done, within a week or so. So you have to establish an audit schedule and then plan the audit process. And that requires a lot of preparation as who will be performing the audit, what areas will be audited. And again, as Sam very well described, all of those steps that are needed in preparation for an audit are provided within the QDMS tool. So that is a great help in actually not only preparing for the audit, but then conducting the audit and then recording your results. So it is very important that the records, the results of the audit, become accessible to the cognizant people and management. And then based on the results and the data that was collected during the audit, then you can use that to help you in doing continuous improvement. First of all, fix the problems that were identified during the audit, and then based on that data, do a work on continuous improvement. So again, QDMS does provide an outstanding capability for that. Now, just one last point about performing audits. And obviously in today's COVID environment where people could be working off-site at home, or if you're using a third party to perform an audit, certainly an audit can be done virtually. People do not have to be physically present within the organization. And this certainly, the QDMS tool will give you a great benefit in doing that by giving you the capability to access all your internal documents that are being audited offline, basically from an external environment. So again, that's why QDMS certainly gives you a lot of capability in helping you perform the internal audits. So that's basically what I wanted to cover. And again, thank you very much. And then I'm turning now over to Kevin.
Alex, thank you very much. Thank you for the insightful presentation. Much appreciated. Let's continue with our webinar flow. What I'd like to do is we make some changes in this webinar. What I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about our company a little bit, and then I'll be talking about QDMS a little bit, and then we can have questions. We can have the Q&A session. So as for our company, we are Bimser International. We are based in New York, and we are an enterprise software maker since 1998. In a sense, we have companies adopt digital business transformation, and we have done simplify business processes. So we have global presence, as you see on the map. We are a group of companies. We are about 200 people. We are a global organization, and we are part of various ERP ecosystems. For example, Acumatica is one of them that we are working with, and also we are working with Microsoft, SAP, MYOB, and Sage ERP ecosystem, and other ERP systems as well as listed on the screen. As for quality management system, we are ISO 9001 certified and ISO 27001 certified. So we have policies and procedures in place to make sure we deliver always the highest quality of our products at every single project. Since 1998, we focus on these 4 products, and that's our specialty. We have EBA, that's our workflow and document management platform. We have BIM, that's our asset maintenance, energy and facility management software. We have QDMS, our quality risk, audit and compliance management software, and we have Ensemble as intelligent business process modeling and performance management software. We have been delivering many different projects, as you see on the screen, since 1998, and more projects are going live every single month. These are some of our references that I put together. So as you see, there are many reputable organizations working with our company and using our products, which we are proud of it. Also, I'd like to talk about our product QDMS a little bit. But before we jump to it, I'd like to talk about digital transformation of quality management. So in essence, what we do is we have companies adopt digital transformation, so utilizing technology and adapting their company's culture and structure to make sure they can benefit from the opportunities coming from these technological and digital developments. There are many different industries that we are working with. As you see on the screen, I listed some of them. Every single industry, they have, you see different quality management standards or regulations. You may be in automotive industry, you may be in construction or pharma industry. As you see, there are different standards that you need to be compliant with. And all these standards, they have certain objectives in place. They try to have you have safe work environment, have you have safe products being manufactured, have you increase customer satisfaction, and of course, to make sure you have the continuous improvement in place in your company. So, and they have requirements to reach those goals, right? There is documentation requirements, just like Alex mentioned earlier. You need to document your activities. You need to have control points. You need to have control points in your administrative operations, right? Purchasing, sales, marketing, for example, or manufacturing, as well as the procurement operations, for instance. Then you need to get feedback, you need to study those feedback, and you need to take corrective actions to improve operations, and you need to communicate these corrective actions with team members. So that is basically, these are some of the typical requirements that we have been seeing in the different quality management standards and regulations. And as we talk to many different companies, and we are very experienced in quality management equally, there are challenges that we have been seeing among companies to comply with these standards. Too much paperwork is one challenge for them. It is difficult for some companies to access data, information to make decisions based on evidence. That's challenging, and sometimes they lose touch, they lose sight of the standards because of their day-to-day operations. So that is why we put together this digital transformation framework for quality management, and it has 3 parts: assurance, control, and predict. Assurance is basically referring to your quality assurance system. ISO, maybe you're compliant with, maybe AS9100 in aerospace industry, maybe you're a food and beverage company and you are compliant with SPF and or BRC. So that is basically your quality management system. And part of this framework is also about control, just like Sam demonstrated earlier with QDMS. You need to have certain control points. The examples that we showed earlier in the demonstration was about manufacturing operations. However, as we all know, quality management systems are not only for manufacturing, they're also for administrative operations, except finance, that basically touches every single part of your operation. So you may want to have control points and processes in your administrative operations as well. And finally, the predictive piece is referring to IoT devices, smart sensors, and basically this is the way to remotely monitor your machinery, equipment, as well as your workplace. So while you are actually implementing this framework and utilizing the technology, that is how we can adapt digital transformation for quality management. That's what we believe. That is why we put together QDMS. We have been developing QDMS since 1998. It is a quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software. We have more than 1,000 corporate customers and more than 1 million professional users, and these numbers are increasing on a monthly basis. QDMS has been around for a long time. It's very mature software. It is user-friendly as well as very reliable and scalable. You can comply with many different quality systems, not only one. You can comply with more than one if you like. And it is web-based. You can deploy it on your cloud system or on your server. Doesn't really matter. No matter where we deploy, you can access QDMS with a web browser. So that is pretty easy. And once we train typically quality management teams, they can manage QDMS themselves. You don't need any outside consultants or ongoing support just to run the system. It's pretty straightforward. This is a screenshot from the QDMS's page from Acumatica's marketplace. So that's a certified solution. Let's remember that QDMS can run standalone. That option is always on the table. In addition, just like Sam demonstrated earlier, QDMS is running in Acumatica screens, so you can run both systems, Acumatica and QDMS together. However, since QDMS is integrated with Acumatica and certified, that's available in Acumatica ecosystem as seen on the slide. As QDMS has a very modern technology, it can communicate with other systems to pull and push data. The idea is to help you have an integrated management system. It is already integrated with Acumatica, for example. QDMS is also ready to integrate with CRM systems, manufacturing execution systems, IoT devices, and any other system that you may have at your company, as long as it has connected, so that we can connect digitally to pull and push data, so that we can avoid double entry when we are running your operations. One of the advantages of QDMS is its structure. It has a modular structure, and you can pick and choose what you like to have. As for the modules, depends on the standards that you are complying with, and depends on the industry. So these are that's basically your choice. We explain all these modules. We talk about its benefits and features, and you can decide. We have more than 30 modules available in QDMS, so you can manage your control document management, you can manage your trainings, machine calibration, you can manage your risk operations as well as incident management and many other operations digitally. That is actually very fast. So let's talk about the questions that we have been getting. One of the questions that we received is about actually ISO. Alex, if you don't mind me asking. So one of the questions that we have been receiving is about ISO, as to how to comply with ISO. Do I have to use a software to comply with ISO, or is there any other ways to comply? What do you suggest?
Well, it's a good question, because the ISO standard does not require you to use any particular software. The requirement is to comply with, and they have a number of clauses which you have to comply. And I mentioned a few of the things, namely document control and audits, but there are other clauses which I'm not going to go through right now. But the important point is that it's up to the organization on how you manage and how you deal with all of the documents and data, and the data that you collect as part of your ISO implementation is called records. However, having a tool like QDMS makes your life a lot easier, because theoretically you can have all your documents and data in hard copies, and that would not violate any of the ISO policies. But as you know, with today's environment, that would be extremely difficult to manage and control. So that using a tool, certainly like QDMS, will make the implementation of ISO a lot easier. And obviously it'll be more efficient, and it'll save you money, and make everybody less prone to error in then using all of the data associated with ISO.
Thank you, Alex. Sam, another question that we have is about Acumatica QDMS integration points. So what do we have integrated with Acumatica at the moment?
At this moment, we have the fundamental integration which is the employee information, stock item, vendor, and customer information. Those integrate with between QDMS and Acumatica. And here's a side note is we can always use our web service to integrate with any fields that you can see in Acumatica. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. There is another question that I received is about mobile application. So I understand mobile application is actually very useful, especially when you're running an audit or quality control check on the production floor, on the manufacturing floor, for example. So there is a mobile application available for QDMS. That's a native mobile application. It runs on cloud. It runs on iOS devices. So if you're not at your desk and if you need to access QDMS to enter data or to pull up documents, for example, you can use mobile application, native mobile application of QDMS. Okay, great. There is one question about pricing. So what I can do is, if you can send me an email, I'll be happy to share pricing information with you. Just also so you know, we share our contact information on the screen, so that if you like to continue this conversation, if you like to have one-on-one meeting, and if you like to further these discussions, we can schedule a meeting with you. So you can just send us an email, and we can schedule some time with you. We can talk about how we can help you in your quality management operations digitally, as well as pricing at that meeting. So we'll be happy to schedule with you. I think we addressed all the questions. Well, thank you very much for listening. Before we end this meeting, I'd like to invite you to our YouTube channel. We have a very active YouTube channel, and we have hundreds of videos available. These are mostly educational or introductory videos about our products, about other webinar recordings available. So if you visit the International YouTube channel, and if you like it, and if you subscribe, we appreciate it. That'd be great. We are 100% sure you'll also benefit from our channel with informative content. Also, as some of you know, we have an Eventbrite page where you can see our coming webinar sessions. We have webinars pretty much every other week, or twice in a month. We get together and we share information about quality management, asset management, paperless work environment, as well as performance management, especially in the face of COVID-19. Nowadays, performance management is a challenge for many companies, and we have solutions for you. You can use our products, our software systems to remotely, digitally assign tasks, assign certain targets to your team members, as well as monitoring the performance overall of your team members, as well as your company. Great. Well, Alex, Sam, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Thank you for your insight and sharing information with our attendees. And I'd like to also thank our attendees for your time and for your interest. We are looking forward to seeing you in our coming webinar session. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye now.